And we're back. I thought since we're showcasing things, we should see that little opening. I like that word showcase. I think that captures what I'm doing better, because I mean, I guess you can call it a casual run, yes, but while I'm not using a walkthrough or anything, I'm very much not blind. So I like showcase. Also, hold on, let me double check. It's still there. The Ixapi theme from Wood is still playing. Why? Well, anyway. Time to go here. The library. You can't read any of these books. There's actually only one section that has readable books. Pretty sure. Yeah. Oh. I didn't click on that book yet, but there you go. A new pot piece. Hang on just a second here. Okay, so, oops, wrong page. In the library. Huh. So it's another one I'm gonna have to kind of draw. And that sleeps over, and then is that a curve? Not really. These weird kind of triangular deals. Kind of like that. And then the front design is this rectangular, rounded rectangle, and that's kind of layered. And then that, and that. Sure, good enough. Ah, I wonder why that was given such a prominent place. But seeing this missing is what told the professor that somebody had been here, if you remember from his message. And look, we have another visitor. This is one of the places where you can place, because I don't think I've mentioned yet about the inventory. You can only carry one thing at a time. So one of the things about when you're playing through this game is keeping track of where stuff is, especially if you're moving them around as you go and swapping things around. That's why I like, if you're just playing casually, to just leave them and note down where they are. And then when you figure out which ones you need to grab and use, then go get them. There are other places besides where they appear that they can be kept if you so choose. This is one of them. I'm just going to whistle by the candlestick there. Now this is the reading shelf. South American pictographs. This is a very important book. This is the one that shows us what all of those symbols on the pots mean. Water, or fire, water or rainwater. Indian iconography is interesting. It is easy to see the bee hovering over the beeswax in this symbol for wax. That is the only one that's described like that, and I don't know why. Ashes, thunder, and lightning. So the pot that's in the mask room is for cloth. Metalwork. The pot in the workshop is for using the form T for tree and the glyph for he died creates dead tree. So that's the pot for wood. Crystals. The one that we just found is the one for sand. Burning water. It would be assumed that this would include petroleum products such as tar and oil. It could be alcohol. Jade. Stone, and if you recall, this was on the pot that Windlenot's ghost came out of. In Search of the Unexplained. The Memoirs of Sir Hubert Windlenot, published by Swenson Books in Chicago, 1978. So he had time to put together this book when he was supposed to be working on this museum. Chapter 1. The Birth of Understanding. I had a privileged but unenlightened birth. I was the second son of Sir William George Windlenot, Earl of Runcorn. Because my great-grandfather, Charles Windlenot, was granted an earldom after he defended the king, the Windlenots have had a noble heritage to live up to. As was expected of a Windlenot, I went to all the proper schools and graduated with honors from Oxford. Upon graduation, I married Mary Elizabeth Worthington, a woman of title. Before long, the lure of the ancients proved too great for me. I found myself in Egypt, obsessed over the great knowledge they once possessed. Standing at the base of the great Sphinx, I felt reborn as it whispered to me of mysteries past. I knew then I must devote my life to bridging the gap between myth and fact, for I sincerely believe that all myth is based on fact. There's a lot of interesting things in here. The traditional viewpoint is that belief in things like curses and Atlantis is an unintellectual area, that myths were for people who didn't understand things. And here's somebody who graduated with honors from Oxford, and he fell under its power. Of course, then again, does graduating from a university mean that you're intelligent? Well, not necessarily. The implication, given how frosty their relationship was, it seems that their marriage to Mary Elizabeth may not have been one of love, at least not entirely. And I do also agree, this knowledge they once possessed. We have definitely lost knowledge. I guess that's a topic for more time than we have today. Chapter 2. In 1938, I made a startling discovery. Okay, so this is a full 42 years before his death. He's already graduated from Oxford, so he had to have been... He was decently old when everything went to pot here. It seems like he was probably born around 1910, the early 19-teens. So he was pushing 70. Similar pyramids, equal to the glory of the great pyramids in Egypt, were constructed in parts of the world by civilizations that had no contact with each other. My paper on the subject gained me election to Edinburgh's Royal Society at the young age of 30. So he was born in 1908. Okay, I was overthinking it. It tells me right here. So he was 72. I did not express my true feelings in the paper, however, for membership was very important to me. I knew that some extraterrestrial being had inspired the construction of these buildings, and so I ventured into archaeoastronomy. That's quite a leap. This is the thing that you'll notice. This is very deliberate. This is how the character was designed. Is that he'll see scientific or scientifically established facts and reasoning here and there, and then he'll connect them in ways that are a deductive fallacy to then show that, oh, this proves this. And things like the pyramids and how they're astronomically perfect and people say, oh, back in the day in the Egyptians, they couldn't have, there just was no way they could have calculated how to do this, and stuff like how they're, you're seeing similar things from these remote locations that there's no way they could have talked to each other. And they say that that's proof that there's extraterrestrial involvement, and I see the logic. But could it not also be that if you have a lot of different people all over the place, is it unreasonable to think that different ones might come up with the same or similar ideas simultaneously? I don't know. The more I researched and visited these sites, the more convinced I became that mortal man alone had not built these. As I spoke of my findings, I was ridiculed and accused of hallucinations. I searched 6 years for proof of my beliefs. In 4 seemingly unrelated civilizations, I found the following pictographs, each one buried within pyramidal tombs. You will notice that while the images from each location are in a different order, they all contain what appears to be a flying saucer, a man in a helmeted spacesuit, and some sort of solar schematic. These similarities are too close to be merely coincidental. Chapter 3. Professional Ridicule. These aren't even chapters, they're pages. Anyway, I admit, dear reader, I am as guilty as anyone of desiring respect and fame. I was driven to pursue enigmas that science could not explain. Fame came at the expense of respect. Even with indisputable proof, I was ridiculed by my peers. I brought before my colleagues proof of the existence of beasts long thought to exist only in myths. In a tar pit in Turkey, I unearthed a creature that could only have been a griffin, and was accused of fabricating it out of several prehistoric animals. In a cave in the Himalayas, I found a mummified creature with one eye in the center of his head, and was denounced for having paid for freaks of nature. In many instances, I was accused of being naive and falling prey to the tricks of others. Is it any wonder that I resigned from the Royal Society and came to America to search for academic acceptance? I sacrificed my marriage, my heritage, and my home to prove my theories and fulfill my dream. I dreamed of a museum that would house the artifacts I had collected, where others too would see my vision. That's where I was. This is the same symbol that we saw by his body. The following manuscript is translated from stone tablets originally found by looters in Moche Valley. These tablets were found among the possessions of Sigfeld. It is Sigfeld. I said Siegfried before. Sigfeld Schwartz, who translated the glyphs. Our thanks to Professor Edwin Rasmussen of Pennsylvania University, who has added comments and footnotes to the original text. I, Yakten, scribe to Motkambo, do keep the record of the Ixupi. Upon the instruction of Motkambo, I write these words, that ye might not wither and die. 32 years, 4 months, 13 days after his joyous birth, Motkambo crowned himself King of Zapana. To celebrate his ascension to the throne, he decreed that there would be no bloodletting that year. Note, this probably means human sacrifice. 5 days after the second moon ended, a hideous evil swept through the land of Zapana. Many people were mysteriously murdered as they slept. There was great lamenting. Motkambo called a gathering of his priests, who offered up sacrifices unto the gods. They reported that the gods were angry with Motkambo, for he had not offered up sacrifices when he was crowned. They allowed Shebalba, guardian of the portal to the underworld, to unleash the snake god's children. The snake god's children, called Ixupi, were evil spirit creatures who hated the people of Zapana for their beautiful skin and healthy bodies. At night, they crept into the people's beds, slowly sucking the ka out of their sleeping bodies, leaving each one a shriveled corpse. The priests of Motkambo prayed and offered up sacrifices for several days, but nothing could stop the Ixupi from stealing the ka from the sleeping people. Note, Schwartz seems to prefer the Egyptian word for life, essence, or soul over the Zapana word, shipan. Montcalmo offered himself as a sacrifice to the gods, hoping to save his people. Note, it seems doubtful that Montcalmo seriously intended to sacrifice himself, but rather intended this as a publicity gesture. The moon goddess Ixchel, took pity on Montcalmo. She gave him special vessels and talismans of magic, that he might entrap the Ixapi. He gathered elements from the earth: stone, water, wood, jade, wax, linen, fire, crystal, and more, one for each vessel. He placed one element in each vessel as instructed by Ixchel, and offered up incantations. 15 days after the 6th moon ended, so we're 4 months into this nonsense, Montcalmo waited for the Ixapi to come. Creeping silently on spirit wings, the Ixapi again entered the rooms of the sleeping Zapana, but the elements in each vessel called out irresistibly to the snake god's children. Slipping into the vessels to answer the call of the elements, the Ixapi were trapped as Montcalmo and his priests quickly sealed each vessel with its talisman. In gratitude to Ixchel, the people began to sing praises and offer up sacrifices to her. Listening to their songs, the snake god knew Montcalmo had imprisoned the Ixapi. Unable to free his children from the powerful spells that now confined them, the snake god instead blessed the Ixapi with a horrible new power, so that if ever released, each Ixapi would have the ability to assume the element that called it to its vessel. Fearful that somehow the seals could be broken and the Ixapi released to again terrorize the people of Zapana, Montcalmo hid the vessels deep in a tomb, deep within the earth. He concealed the tomb under layers of heavy dirt and boulders to keep the Ixapi securely hidden from the world, hoping they would never be discovered or released. He ordered that these events be recorded and buried with the vessels. Therefore I, Yakten, end this record with the words of Montcalmo. You are already in danger as you read these tablets. Heed the warning of Montcalmo. Break not the seals that hold fast the Ixapi, lest you lose your lives. Ka. The translation of Sigfeld Schwartz ends here. Following are a few comments added by Professor Rasmussen. For an amateur, Sigfeld Schwartz was an extremely gifted translator who made few outright errors. However, he did miss some minor nuances. The stone tablet goes into much more detail about the vessels themselves and how they were used. Apparently, it was very important that each animal or human-shaped talisman and vessel match each other exactly. The markings on each vessel were meant to indicate the element that was placed inside. There was this added warning: if any Ixapi is freed, it cannot stray far from the vessel that had imprisoned it until it finds a replacement entity to take its place, presumably some unfortunate human. That is a very important detail. I guess I gave him a snooty attitude, presumptuously, but he did add a very important little detail there. Mythology of the stars. The old solar system. Mercury, messenger for the gods, god of commerce and science. It's just the basic information about the Roman gods. Can't open that one. I don't like that area. I don't feel like going there right now. Let's go back here. Plenty of stuff unlocked in the flashback. Oh, and I wonder, now that we've heard new music, it's still there. So I guess that makes me wonder. That makes me wonder if this track always has that tune playing underneath. That's what I can't look up. This is a pretty cool layout. A fair amount of empty space though. So I really like when you're reading stuff like that. I'm gonna check or show. Show off how many things were added there. I think it's really impressive, all the lore building and how things reference themselves and the dates check out, and you hear this name here and then here, and that helps you kind of connect the dots. Although it's not necessarily needed, you don't have to read any of this stuff to get through the game. It's you know, pretty basic, but I like having that extra stuff. And I also really like these. I didn't mention it last time. I really like these, you know, the extra, these plaques and the extra little tidbits that you get all over the place. A lot of those are based on regular archaeology. I mentioned the people who made those masks over there. It's not letting me look at them right now. It's a real tribe. A lot of these are real world myths and legends. It's kind of like social studies class on the fringe. We have ourselves a puzzle here.
Care to refresh your memory?
So we teleport back to here to find north, south, east, and west. So I didn't have to write that down, which is nice. It's a bunch of symbols to have to try to transcribe. Okay, let's see here. Cool little theater. This is a possible pot location. Beth, meet me upstairs where we found the pots. M. No, don't go up there. Those things are everywhere. Basement power plant. I think it's safe. Well. Actually, we're getting long enough. I probably will cut here, and we will resume our explorations next time.